Pints in a Corner is a music history podcast about the Channel Club in Boston, Mass. Dinky Dawson and Tony Raine are your hosts. They interview channel performers and workers, bringing out stories and memories of the great music and events that came through this iconic South Boston venue. Welcome to 2 Pints in a Corner with Tony Raine and Dinky Dawson. Tony is still recuperating from his illness, and we have a very, very good guest interviewer, Sean McNally, who's my sidekick here for the last few weeks and done an amazing job. And today we have Sir Barrence Whitfield.
Yeah. I'm waiting for that one.
No, you should. The amount of times you play in Europe, but they love you there. They love they love the energy that you have. You're one of the greatest performers for that kind of energy for Europe. Will just adores you on that, and that's been going on for years. But before we get going, we want to know, how did you start in this business? When did you start, and what was the deal before we start doing the channel stuff?
Well, it goes back to the days of me living in New Jersey, playing with high school friends, and I had a band in high school that was named after the Funkadelic, called the Funkasonics.
I like that. Yes.
Oh yeah, we had fun with that. And then I was in a band that played, you won't believe this, progressive rock, Sparks, Led Zeppelin.
No.
Oh yeah, and the band was called Death Slaker.
Hey, that's
awesome.
That's really, really cool. This is out of New Jersey. Go on.
Yeah, so, and then, when I left Jersey to come to school to go, in Boston, I didn't perform for about 5 years. And then all of a sudden I was working, one night I was working at the Harvard Coop. I was a store detective.
Oh.
And I kept going into the record department there, and I just made up my mind, said, the hell with this. I'm tired of catching people. I want to perform. And so a friend of mine who worked at Nuggets record store in Kenmore Square heard me sing when I was working there for a little while. And he came over to me and says, yeah, man, you got a nice voice. There's a guy that's kind of a legend right now. A guy named Peter Greenberg. He played with DMZ and he played with the Liars. He wants to put together a new band, and he wants he's looking for us a black singer.
Oh, wow.
Which I was really, really wild. So I got together with him, went over his house, had a piping 2 bowls of chili that would burn your nose off, and we kept listening. We were listening to his record collection, and he played all these oddball 45s. And the first thing he played for me was a tune by Bobby Peterson, piano player out of Pennsylvania, and it was 45. It was called "Mama Get the Hammer, Flies on the Baby's Head."
Oh no!
And then I said, oh, my God. I said, well, you got me on that one. And he was playing a lot of Little Richard and stuff from New Orleans, like Fats Domino and Smiley Lewis and all kinds of wild rockabilly tunes. And I didn't even audition. He just says, you're it. And I don't know. Yeah. And then we put together the band and rehearsed for about 6 months. Doing one show with the Del Fuegos at Inman Square Men's Bar. And then the next show we rehearsed some more, and the next show we did was at a club. It was right up the street from the Rat that didn't last very long, and we opened up for a great blues artist, legend by the name of Johnny Copeland.
Oh, wow.
And then that just started it all. So we didn't really, so we were just playing like the little clubs. So we hadn't gotten to the channel yet. So that was our start of what the Savages was doing in about late 1983 to 84.
That's awesome. So that's obviously very good. Peter's obviously a well-known musician from the Boston scene with his bands. And basically that background really explains kind of where you got to where you are now as far as the kind of music you enjoy. But I'm curious, like, even before you came to Boston, Barrence, were you, I think I read along the lines where you were a drummer at first, right? Were you playing drums first?
I played a little bit of drums. I wasn't actually, I wouldn't say it was Bill Bruford or Ginger Baker, but I definitely, played a little bit of drums, but mostly was more singing because I grew up in the church, singing gospel music, singing the choir and stuff, and basically doing that and listening to radio every day, every hour, just listening to the popular radio stations out of New York, and we had a couple of black radio stations in New Jersey. So, I mean, and plus in my house, we always played a lot of music. My father listened to a lot of jazz and stuff. So, I mean, there was always music in the house. And I'll tell you, the first record that I was introduced to just musically, just because we had this old, like, Victrola, which was a 78.
Oh, sure.
And it was a song, believe it or not, by a woman named Jo Stafford, a singer, a singer from the 40s, white singer, and her tune was called "Adios Amigos."
Yeah,
and that was it was on a 78, and that was like the first like really record I heard. But then I jumped from Jo Stafford to James Brown.
Yeah.
Listening to
I knew you
Papa's
got those moves. I knew you had those moves.
And I listened to James Brown. I said, "Well, there you go. That's where I'm headed."
That's how you did.
And
you're still the only one that's doing it, Barrence. It's wonderful.
It really amazes me, Dinky. And you're a legend of all time doing sound for everybody. And I really respect you and love you for what you've done in your life. But it's amazing what I just got back from Spain. I played at a festival this past weekend. It was unfortunately a horrible weekend because I had to cancel my performance because I got food poisoning.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
The Europe crowd.
Yeah.
The Europe crowd.
The funny thing is, before that hit me, I went on stage. The headliner of the festival was Los Lobos.
Oh, yeah, good people.
And I went on the stage and belted out Georgia Slop with them, and the place went bananas.
Yeah, that's because... No, I'm just excited because that's what you do. You're excited to people, and the people get the vibe, and they just go nuts. And then when you did it that with Los Lobos, it's the flavor of the sound of South.
Exactly. And then I got sick, and then I couldn't go back on and perform, and everybody was wondering what happened to Barrence. There was one thing going around the festival that I had fell ill on stage while Los Lobos was playing.
Yeah.
And then one friend told me, he said, "Well, that'd make you a legend right there in Spain."
Oh yeah, definitely.
Wow.
But I know that crud stuff. We've all had it once in a while when traveling like that. But the thing is that's unbelievable to do that at this time period. The way that things are set over here, it's very prim and proper now because that's how people are getting paid. You can't jump up. Well, there's groups you can jump up and have a great old time because they want you to. They know how good you can be and how well you can play and how well you perform. And that gives them spark, especially like Los Lobos. They'd have loved every minute of it.
They did. They really did. And I've been doing it with them now for 40 years. I've known them for 40 years.
Yeah, cool.
And I don't think anytime they've come to Boston, I've never missed a show. And they've adopted me as the sixth Lobos.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, Barrence. I 2 thumbs up for that one. Definitely. This is, Barrence, this is lovely. Sean, now you got to start with the channel stuff and what.
Yeah. Let me just quickly though, and I totally get the whole and I just say completely now the soul background, the R&B, the gospel, the choir stuff.
Wonderful stuff.
That really explains a lot of it. And I'm curious, like, so when you get to Boston, though, so was the Savages like your first band up here? Like, I mean, you played a couple of bands down at home in Jersey, but when you got to Boston, was that your first band?
Well, I played with this band briefly, and I mean briefly, and they were doing like soul stuff, like, like James Brown and Otis Redding stuff. But I did it with them briefly because I felt that, this is not what I really want to go for. So when I was asked to do it with the Savages, Peter had this idea of doing, because he comes out of a garage kind of a grunge kind of rock and roll, and so to add me to the flavor was like, you've got this electrifying black singer who could scream his guts out. Yeah. And you've got these guys that are backing you up that are legendary. You had Peter Greenberg on guitar. You had Phil Lanker, who've also played with the Liars on bass. You had Howie Ferguson, who played with the Real Kids. And then you had Steve LaGrega, who was just a, jazz saxophone player. Put them all together and put these tunes like, 50s R&B, jump blues, rock and roll, heavy rockabilly kind of emphasis, instrumentals. And you had something that basically not too many bands were doing at the time.
Yeah, I agree.
And, especially, I was just thinking, especially in Boston, definitely nothing like that. You guys are very unique in that way.
Oh, totally.
Well, yeah, I still have like newspaper clippings of all the the papers that were following us, the Globe, the Herald, and they were saying that you have this great band that just comes out with blood in their veins, and you have this guy Barrence Whitfield who dives all over the place, dives underneath the guitar player's leg, jumps over the drummer's drums, and at the end of the night his pants are ripped to shreds, and and there's people out in the audience wanting more. They don't want you to stop.
That's true. I remember.
Oh, absolutely. That sums it up well. I mean, not to jump too far ahead, but I mean, the live shows you and the Savages play were just completely off the wall, raucous, just a great friggin' time. And the audience absolutely loved it. It was just like, balls to the wall, sweating, the walls are sweating. It was just such a good rocking time every time you guys played the room. Not to jump ahead too quick, but we did look back in the history, and it looks like, I think the first time you played the Channel was in May of 1984. You guys were supporting Joe King Carrasco. Does that ring a bell?
Oh, yes.
May 10th.
Joe King Carrasco and a crowd. They were from Texas.
Yes.
And I remember that show, and I was kind of nervous because we hadn't got to play a bigger venue like the Channel. So that was our first taste of it, and it was enjoyable. And even Joe King came after we finished our gig. He says, "How am I going to follow that?" I said,
"That's awesome."
I agree.
And I told him, I said, "Just do your thing. They're here for you." So we did our thing.
Did he say that on October 4th when they opened for the Radiators?
Same thing. Well, there's a lot of, it's really funny how we as a band and myself, we never put out that vibe that we were going to go out and blow away. No,
you're just yourselves.
We never did. But we put the fear. I mean, I remember doing a show. Get away from this Channel for a minute. Doing a show in France one time. It was a festival, and the headliner was Morphine.
Wow.
And I knew those guys and stuff like that. So we showed up at the show, getting ready, and Mark Sandman comes out and he goes, "Barrence, how you doing? It's great to see you." And right after that, he says, we're not going to follow you. And I go, what? I said, why? Why? Because, well, look what we play. I mean, there's no. So they ended up playing. We ended up switching around. They played before us.
Wow.
That's respect about the energy. It's the energy that you put out. And they know, once musicians have seen you, they know that it's going to be a tough number to do because we're on a different level in our music. And boy, oh boy, Barrence, you just can nail it every time. Because every time I saw you was just magnificent. Just having so much fun. And the audience were having fun with you. They were going back and forth.
That was our thing, man. We definitely, I love to include the audience every time we play, because it's like playing in your own front room and you got your own audience. And I remember the times when the next time we played the channel, I ended up just jumping off the stage, and I was being carried around, pushed around all over the channel, and I'm like going, and they actually brought me back to the stage and everything.
Well, that's November 16th, 91. No, it was before that, way before that.
I know there was one show I did with opened up for NRBQ.
Oh yeah,
that's right. That's right.
That was at the channel, and then
you had
was
a Christmas party. You had a Christmas party.
Yeah, did a couple of Christmas parties.
1990. That was when that was done on December 22nd. And Sean's Sean got the listing better than me. He looked on the database, and I was only 12 up. He's got 28, and I'm most of the time. First of all, you were opening for people. And even when you open for people, you blow everybody away. I mean, come on. It's the energy, Barrence. It's the music, the energy, the vibe, and the love you give off that stage. And with all those...
I can tell you another quickly, a real quick channel story about the first time we met Andy Kershaw from the BBC in England, who... When he found out of our record, he said his head went through the ceiling, and he kept playing it on the BBC, and everyone was, who is this guy? When is he coming to London? Yeah. So he finally just said, that's it. I'm going over to Boston to meet the man himself. So he came over, and the night we played, I think it was the night when the Fuegos played, and he came over. I think it was like 85. Was it 85? Yeah, it was 85. And what happened was we played the show, and what happened, it was so hot in there that was it Fuego? I can't remember, but it was so hot in there that I passed out on stage, and some friends of mine grabbed me and carried me off the stage while the band was still playing. Wow. And this was still with Peter and Phil and them, and so they took me to the dressing room, and Andy came over to me and said, "Barrence, are you all right? I saw you faint. Are you all right?" I go, yeah, just a little. He said, "This is great. This is fantastic. I can't wait to get back to England. I can't wait to play your music on my." He went totally bonkers, man, and he went that thing when. Made it more bigger, and then we got a call. He called us back. He said, "Listen, I want to do something for the Old Grey Whistle test.
Oh my!
I want to do it and we did it at Night Stage at the end of 1985. And that footage you can still see that footage on YouTube.
Wow,
that's great. You
can still see that. That was another crazy night.
That's great.
That's amazing. Yeah. So the Del Fuegos. I was going to say. Let me step back a little bit. Do you remember how you got on that Joe King Carrasco? Were you doing the bookings? Was that Peter's part of the deal, Barrence? How did you get on the channel?
Who was doing? Howie Cusack was doing.
Oh yeah, Pretty
Polly.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were doing it at the time. I mean, they were getting so many calls on us.
Yeah.
That Howie said, "Man, you're wanted, man. You're a wanted man." So, back and you guys know back in the day when the club scene was absolutely just brilliant, where in a week's time, you could play in 5 different clubs.
Yep.
You know, and you can play on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then some of the people show up, and then when you come to Friday, Saturday, those same people would show up with more people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh yeah. You could play in town every night, and people back then, people did go out every night of the week. I mean, I did for sure, and it was
definitely
not a big deal. And nowadays, it's like a band might play once a year in Boston, but even like for the local headlining type bands, back then you could play. You could play the channel every couple, 3-4 months, and you guys were for a while there. And in fact, it's great because I remember Pretty Paul. They definitely had a lot of bands they're representing at the time. So to hear that from him,
yeah,
that's news to them as well. It's great news to them because it means more gigs for you and more percentages for them for their fees, right? So I did look back after the Carrasco show. So I think you guys kind of became like a really solid support for some pretty major acts. So the next time I have you there was 3 months later, opening for Nona Hendrix, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then a month after that for Gun Club, and then 3 months later for the DBs, and then NRBQ. So I mean, it's like and the Del Fuegos are later in that year, like you mentioned. So that you had some really, really prime exposure in that club, and that wasn't just given to anybody. I can tell you from being there forever, you guys deserved it, and obviously,
definitely
the intent and the plan, and we could all clearly see you guys would be a headliner on your own for certain, and that pretty much started, I think at the end of '85. After that Del Fuego show, you guys came back like a month later on your first headlining gig, and then after that, it was just like every time after you guys are headliners.
Oh, and the funny, and after that happened, we that's when we garnered our own like following. People really started coming out and seeing us, and it was just amazing time there at the channel. I remember doing those shows, and then that's when in '86 I think is when Peter left the band, and then I had the original band for just a little bit, and then towards September I put together a new Savage, and I thought things would change a little because we went from being this garagey kind of wild. We were still wild, but I had to really put it to these guys that this is what I do. This is how we got to do it. And we kind of, with the new band, kind of morphed it into something that we got a different kind of audience coming, but we still were doing the same kind of stuff. And I remember a couple of times we did after those lunchtime shows at the channel.
Yep.
We did the lunchtime shows, and people would show up to those. And I tell you, I can just tell you, it was just great, and just to be playing in that venue and actually going to see shows there.
That's where that's my next question. That's my next question.
Go ahead.
No, my next question was like Sean was on about is whom did you go to see that when you weren't playing anywhere, but you wanted to go see someone at the channel? Whom did you go see? And I'm sure you saw a bunch of them because I know you popped in a bunch of times because I saw you running around here and there.
Oh yeah, I bumped it. I tell you, my favorite one was the Jam. Played there.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I was at that show. There was a show, James Brown, when he played channel.
There you go.
John Lee Hooker when he played the channel.
Oh, there.
There was a sweltering summer evening. It was burning up in there, and I saw UB40.
Oh yeah!
What a great show that was. I mean, it was just like it was sweating. And there was one night I was there, and I got to see Motorhead.
Oh yeah,
and let me tell you something. I went, the stage there. You could actually walk behind the stage.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
So what happened was we walked behind the stage. I was with a few friends, and we were listening to their monitor mix.
Yeah.
And their monitor mix was louder than their out mix.
Yeah, that's about right.
And I was going, these guys are definitely deaf. Because there's no way I could have been on that stage. But they were rocking, man.
Oh, they loved it.
Really, really rocking. And I remember seeing Fishbone there a couple of times.
Oh, yeah.
Fishbone. And Fishbone tried to do the thing I normally do, jump out in the audience. But it's the lead singer, instead of someone catching him, like I could jump off the stage and channel and someone would catch me. I never saw that floor. So what happened with the lead singer of Fishbone, he jumped off stage and they parted the Red Sea.
No.
And he fell flat on his face on that concrete floor.
Oh.
And I went,
Oh no!
Another great band that played there. They were always a good time. Always a good time.
Yeah. So I actually got to see a lot of bands that thanks to who was running it at the time? Who?
Tony was the booking agent, Warren Scott.
Warren, yeah.
We actually had him on last week for a couple of interviews. He's just done great stories as well, as you can imagine.
Yeah. Warren was always a great guy. If he saw me at the desert dance, come on in.
Yeah,
that's awesome. There was never no hesitation, or I'd get in and make this guy, give this guy anything he wants, blah blah. He packs the house for us.
We always try to extend the club courtesy to any of the performers that played there, and you were certainly one of those guys. For sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God! And it's one of those venues that is legendary, and there will never ever be another channel. Never.
No, I think you're right, unfortunately.
I think you're totally right. Also, it's the personnel that ran everything from every department, whether it be T-shirts or whether it be behind the bar, all the girls running around doing waitressing, Sean keeping security, then keeping production and keeping everybody happening, and people like that, and Johnny Barnes, all different people that give their energies into that club. There will be. It's very rare to see that ever again, unless you're in Europe. Europe will have that kind of environment, like you said, in Spain. If you went out to some of the clubs, the dance clubs especially, they have all kinds of good things going on. But every time we did Europe, we'd hit the blues club, or we'd hit something that the people that promoted us wanted us to go see and whatever. And I'm sure that's the same with you. You got a chance to be able to see people, but also play with people. That's the other thing. I have a friend now in Finland. He's a cowboy, a singing cowboy, and he's a really good horseman. But he's a country cowboy. A friend with the Birds with Gene Parsons, and Mike Beck does training and this, that, and the other. But then he has the band over in Finland that want to join him all the time. And they go out and play all these venues, and people are flipped out. Where did you guys come from? That kind of thing, because it's so different and was so exciting. And Mike is one of these guys who play a B-bender guitar, so he's bending strings, he's having fun with them, and the people love it. And you give them your love, you give him your heart, they're going to adopt you. And that's what they've done with him. They've adopted him. He's got to go back at least every other year because they're going to complain. We want you to come back and play with our horses and stuff like that, But it's
I'm going back to Finland later on this year for a 40th anniversary of this band, blues band called the Ventus Blues Band there from the southern part of Finland, and I've played with them a lot in Finland. And,
that's cool. That's so cool.
The only word I know in Finnish, besides getting drunk and watching, is kiitos.
Oh,
kiitos.
Well,
That's Kiitos Day. What's that mean?
It means thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's the important one.
Kiitos.
Yeah, that's.
But what an audience they are. I mean, they
wonderful.
Really,
they love the jazz. They love the blues. They love the feeling of music, and if it's portrayed through someone like yourself, Barrence, they just cry. They feel warm inside. It's amazing society and what have you. Because I played
really
a lot
is.
in the 60s there with Fleetwood, and it just was unbelievable. The first day we landed in Finland was 5,000 people at the airport waiting for us. They wanted the number one song in England, which is called Albatross. It's like Santa and Johnny.
Oh, yeah, Fleetwood Mac, yeah.
They wanted that to be the national anthem of Finland. All these people are marching on the streets, wanted to do this, that, and the other. We were just in awe to go to a Finnish blues club at 2:00 in the morning. And we were,
oh my God!
We were in awe of what they were playing. We just could not believe how well some of the kids in the people in there played their instruments, felt their instruments. We just sat there going like, "Are you kidding me? This is wonderful stuff, and why doesn't it come out to public?" You know. But it's a great society.
There's a gentleman in Finland who passed away last year, who was in a band called Televente Presidente. His name was Eero Ratinen, and he was like the man in Finland back in the 60s. You know, he was, and in the 70s, he was like the guy. Everyone knew who Eero was, and Eero brought me over to do a festival one year. It was early 2000s, and I played this club on a mountain in February. And what was it? Where Santa Claus is up in Lapland, and they broke a record for the coldest ever when I headed up there. For that week, I went up there. It was minus 55 Celsius.
Oh my God! Try and sing in that weather.
Minus 55, and I got on the. When I got off the plane, the bring your bags in, the conveyor broke the chain. Had to go right back outside, get my bags.
Oh no!
Cold as shit. Wow. And then we get to the bus, and I asked the promoter. I asked Eero. I said, Eero. Oh, I mean, what happens? We're going in the mountains. What happens if this bus breaks down? And he just looked at me and said, "We're dead."
I know. Whoa.
I said, "Okay, well, let's get this bus going." But yeah, Finland is one of my favorite places, and
so you were lucky in the fact you mentioned. You know, Andy Kershaw is a very influential BBC DJ. So you were lucky in the fact he took such a shine to you, and actually that led to getting UK tours and getting over to Europe a lot, correct?
Yeah, he was really the big thing, and also another guy who was very, very, and I was so lucky to meet this man, and like I think you know this gentleman. He's a legend in radio. I got to hang out and meet the guy, John Peel.
Yeah, John's cool. John was very cool, and
he was very cool guy, and that guy lived music.
Yeah,
he lived the music.
Totally. Loved music, loved the performance.
Very, very influential as well, which is a huge plus, obviously. For you.
Exactly.
My God! I went on a show one time because I was on Kershaw's program, and at the time, he would follow Kershaw. Kershaw would be on first, and then he'd come on for the late show. And so he said, "Andy, why don't you and Barrence come over to my show for a little while and hang out?"
That's cool.
We're hanging out with John Peel and hanging out. He's playing all this great. I brought some records, and I played this gospel thing, rock and roll sermon by Elder Beck. I played it on his radio and he said, "My God, Jesus, what in the world was that?" And I said, "That's Elder Beck doing rock and roll sermon," and he just loved it, man. I must have. He said, "I must have this record."
well,
we talked about you were lucky in that respect, having such huge influences overseas. But one of the common themes as well on these interviews, Barrence, is how supportive the whole Boston scene, the whole equilibrium was back there, because you had, We had BCN, which was gigantically important, of course. COZ was playing it. AAF was playing it.
My God.
We had all the college radio stations. It was such a supportive time back then. And like you said, you could play every night of the week, and it was not like you were really going to hurt your audience because either they went to every show or some came Monday, some went Monday and Thursday, some came Friday, Saturday.
Exactly.
So people out there all the time. The clubs doing bang-up business back then, especially the weekends, obviously. But it was very supportive. It seems like that's kind of a long ago time now, right? Which it really is. The world's completely changed with radio and records and all that stuff, of course. But maybe talk a minute about, how supportive the scene was to kind of helping you guys get along. Aside from your crazy live shows, which is like the number one selling point, the musician was fantastic. But also maybe talk about the radio station and that kind of, the media back there with the Phoenix, how that all kind of helped cultivate something like your band.
Yeah, I would definitely put the Phoenix up there. They really adopted us very well in the early going there, and BCN was playing us, and everyone, it was just like once we put out that first album, it's just like, and we put it out on our own label called Mamu Records, so, and it was being distributed by Rounder at the time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so it was getting all over the place, and the support for the radio and just the mainstream media of newspaper, the Globe. I mean, I had, God rest his soul, I had Steve Morris, who was a champion of the band, was always at our shows.
Always.
Yeah. Would never, when we went, he always wrote about us. And we had Brett Milano writing for the Phoenix.
Yeah.
And we had Jim Sullivan and all these great, all them writing about the Savages. So it was really the scene itself, musically and just people. The bands we were all friendly. We all knew each other. We'd all go to parties together. We'd all be seen at certain big events, or it was definitely like a thing. There was a time there that, I mean, I was having the time of my life, and here's a guy that went to BU for journalism, and I said to myself, you know what? If I was a journalist now, journalism is shit. It doesn't mean nothing anymore. But music is still viable.
Totally.
And during those years, it was just like I just felt like I was in Disneyland or something. I was in Boston.
That's a great way to say it.
I like that because that's exciting. That's enlightening in every level. I like that. You were there every time. I could go, there's Barrence over there. What's he doing there? He's got a day off. Stuff.
but everywhere we walked, I could walk at people who know me.
Yeah.
And then
it's the scene.
when we finally got to the Rat, it was like, Mitch at the door. Barrence, come on in. But it was just amazing, and we had some really, really cool times. And then when the second band got together, and that one song off of Ow, 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 Stop Twisting My Arm, right? Got airplay. I mean, BCN was playing it every day. Yeah. Every day. That's how people knew who we were, because of, if I didn't, all I can hear was the Boston accent of, she gonna play Stop Twisting My Arm. I go, yeah, we have to do it, or they're gonna kill us. But it was
funny you mentioned that, like being Disneyland. I mean, you could be a local, rock star back then. I mean, back in those days, bands like the Savages, John Butcher Axis, the Stompers, the Fools, TH and the Records, all these, the neighborhood, Dogmatics, they all were like looked at as being not just like great musicians, but like looked up to as being like, oh, these guys are pretty popular. Those guys are. Yeah. Well, I went to see this band. They were so good. They should be the next band that plays, blah 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 blah. The arena circuit, right? So, but we were so like spoiled and lucky back then with all the talent around us. You just take it for granted, at the time. And the world's a different place nowadays. But you still are in contact. You're one of those guys from that era that's still doing what you do, right? I know you do appearances with John Butcher, with Sal Bagley, with the Dogmatics. They love having you. Los Lobos, of course. I know Nick Lowe. You covered one of his songs. Maybe talk about how you've been what you've been doing for the recent past few years or so.
Well, the recent past few years, I'm still active. We were lucky that I was to get back together with Peter back in 2009 after he had retired from. He had worked as a environmental engineer, and he did well. He made a lot of money, and he just called me one day and he just said, "I want to get back. I want to play again." Because you're still at that particular time, I was still kind of at it, still going to Europe and stuff. So because he never got to Europe with me in those early days. We only played in the States, so he wanted to go to Europe and play. So I got together, me, him, and Phil, and we put together a couple other guys, and I'm telling you, it was like we never left. It just went bang again, and the next thing you know, we were thinking about putting out a new record, and the first place I called, it wasn't the States. I called Spain. I had a friend working at a record label called Munster Records out of Madrid, and I emailed them. I said, "Listen, putting the Savages back together, and we're looking to record a new record. Would you like to be the first one to put out a new Savages record that hasn't? And we haven't put out one in over 20 some odd years." 3 days later, I get an email. The president of the record label and my friend Francisco is his name. They emailed and they said, "We would be honored."
Oh, wow, that's
and
great.
that just re-energized everything.
Yeah,
we recorded the record here. They put it out over in Spain, and that's when we went back to Spain and went back to England and all. So it really, revved up old people, old followers of in Europe and France and in Germany. And I'd get these guys who saw us like back in the late 80s and early 90s. They'd go, "Barrence, I saw you 20 years ago." I mean, they'd all say that. I said, "Oh, yeah, the 20-year period. I keep forgetting it's gone." But yeah, they would all show. Everybody showed back up to be re-energized with the Savages, and
that's lovely.
It was just it was unbelievable. And again, we hooked back up with some people in England, and then I think in 2010. We got signed to a label called Bloodshot Records out of Chicago, and so we recorded a record with them, and all of a sudden we got a call from a woman who helps book the Jules Holland show, because I met Jules Holland back in the day, back in the 80s when we were going, and he said he called the label. He said, "Barrence has a new record, huh? We want him on the show. When can we get him over here?" And next thing you know, the record label went bonkers. They went, "We're going to send our representatives over there. We'll fly you over there, blah, blah." And come to find out, on the show that evening, which parts of it is still on, you can still watch it on YouTube. The show had, believe it or not, the Pixies.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Janelle Monáe. Tony Joe White. This band called Church out of Scotland. And a guy by the name of Hugh Laurie.
Oh, no.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Well, he's remember the House? Dr. House?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was the show, and it was fantastic. We did an hour show, and then we did a live half an hour show, and it was unbelievable. And that just brought it back. Everyone said, Barrence. I was in the UK.
Yeah.
And like I said, BCN was following us, and I was talking to Mark Parental and all those guys every day. And they would say, hey, how you doing? How's things going over in the UK? Fine. And so we did a couple of shows. We played a show at this place called Dingwalls.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
Yeah, it was my first time at Dingwalls. And so, we played the whole week. Then we did this, we went over to Holland for the weekend to play the Paradiso Club.
Oh, yeah.
And we were playing for this radio program. The place was jam-packed. Couldn't believe how many people were at this show. And so we came back to Boston, and that, I think it was in December that we went over, and we came back and we had a show at the channel. And because of the radio, promoting us and everyone listening about our exploits over in England, the channel was jam-packed that night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh,
You
yeah.
couldn't move because everyone was wishing us, saying, you guys did a great job over England, blah, blah. Now, and that really heightened us up. And I just felt like we were already there, but now going over to Europe and making an impact over there, coming back over to Boston, everyone started going, all right, Barrence, yeah, you did a great job, blah, blah, blah. And that was a wonderful night at the channel when we came back. And I thanked all the people for supporting us through that year. And that was it, man. That was that was a big channel show for us. It really was.
Well, this is good story stuff, because it's just so exciting that you're still performing with that energy that you still do. People have to go out now when Barrence is in town and stuff and find out where he's playing and go and definitely see that energy and feel the energy. Feel that love that these guys portray off that stage. I just was in awe when I first saw you, and I'd, people like Kennedy Shane working the shows and Scott Perlman and the engineers and the really good lighting guys with Martin Favor and with DB. And just working with what they had and working with what you had, which was you and the band. And it was phenomenal. And I just stood there going like, am I watching something that's going to be around and you're around forever? And that's the beauty of it.
Dinky, I'm very, very, very lucky to have done what I've done through all these years. I mean, that's a long time to be still out there.
Yes.
Pumping. I even throughout this whole thing got, musician fans out there, guys who are the big one though. You got to hear this one.
Oh God!
I went back in '88 to play Dingwalls, and Kershaw was doing the show, so he was promoting it and everything. So I go into his flat, and he goes, "Oh, by the way, there's someone in there that would love to meet you. That's sitting in my front room." And I go in, and it's Robin Hitchcock.
Oh no!
And I'm like going, "Oh my God!" He said, "I've never heard you, but I'm going to come to your show tonight." And he said, "Oh, by the way, someone else is going to be at the show tonight. I got to tell you this story." Andy said. So I get this call. We get this call from out of the blue, and my sister Liz Kershaw, who she was a DJ on BBC One, and she picks up the phone. She says, "Hello, who is this?" She says, "Is Andy Kershaw in?" He goes, "No, not right now. He'll be back in 15 minutes. Who's calling?" And he says, "Robert Plant." And he goes, "Really? Yeah, right." So she says, "Sing me the first two verses of Stairway to Heaven." And he sung them. And she dropped the phone. She said, "Holy shit, it is Robert Plant." So he calls back and he talks to Andy, and he says to Andy, he says, "Listen, I hear that you have Barrence Whitfield coming to Dingwall. He goes, yes, I do. He said, I want to tell you, his very first album, one of the great rock and roll records of all time. He said, I can't believe it. The songs he's doing, rockabilly. He said, I got to see him tonight. He said, listen, is there any possibility I could get on the guest list?
I love it. I knew that was coming next. That's beautiful.
And Andy goes, bloody hell, just show up. And he showed up, and he enjoyed the show, and he was very, very honest with me.
Yeah.
You know, he really said, I just love your rock. You're the rock and roller that we should always have in our hearts. And
that's wonderful. That's a great statement, dude. I'm glad you remembered it all. Oh my goodness, that's wonderful, and that's real good honor to be, to have those people to come down to see you and stuff like that. I felt honor when people used to come to see me mix. I was like, what? Townsend's here? I'm like, no. David Bowie's here? Yeah, go ahead, and they all came.
Oh my God!
So I'm like, I'm mixing Lou Reed and that band of wild people. And I'm going and having a great old time at the Rainbow, and I'm saying this is not Barrence Whitfield jumping the stage. This is a Lou Reed that's not jumping around, but giving them the material they want to listen to, and want to hear how well it's played live and what have you. Mm-hmm. And I did that, and then Steely Dan was the same day. We blew the down house out. It was wonderful, but in Dingwalls and those clubs to create that's the scene in London. For your music, for your thing at that time period. It's a different ball game now, as you know. I mean, you would have loved to be at the theatre that Peter Stringfellow, my old friend, I had, when you were sat eating strawberries on the second floor of this old theatre in the talk of the town it was. And all of a sudden you'd see the centre of the stage open up, and here comes George Michael singing with Elton John on the piano. It's like just them two came up in the middle of the night, because at midnight the whole place was shaking because they have the 1812 overture going off. It was theatre in its own right and dynamic in its own right. And when that came up, and then the stage opened, and these two came up playing and singing, it's like, God, what are we doing? This is outrageous. And they're having such a good time to do it. And they've put in their love in just to all the people that's in this place, and they're having, we're free to do this. We're free. We're not subjected to getting paid or any of that. We're just having a good time, And the people love it. The people loved it. And most of them were, people that would come in after shows, after theatre, and after this for a few drinks and watch whomever's playing on the stage that night, or listen to Peter playing and let him play his records. But to see the dynamics, and that's how London was. In that time period, you could do things like that. You could go into the club, like you're saying, and you'd have around you, we go to Speakeasy late night, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd be there with Peter Green and Danny Kerwin, and all of a sudden there's Jimi Hendrix and about 6 other different musicians, and they're all playing on the stage, just having the fun, different instruments, just having fun with them and playing, and you sat there going, wow, where's the singer? Where is somebody like you and Barrence? And it's just these guys were having so much fun with the instruments. They were looking for somebody out there to play like a Robert and people like that, and you. It was just, come on, get up there and have some fun. This is the scene, And I love that.
Yes, well,
I love the scene. And you mentioned it about Boston at that time period, and we call it the scene, the Channel scene. The Boston, New England scene of the 80s was phenomenal for all of you, for all of the entertainers that came through, the small ones that used to come through on a new music night. They got the best. If they portrayed really good stuff, they not just the music, but themselves, they would be able to come back and play and open for people like yourself. But you open for people that you blow away all the time because of the energy. And you had people like Joaquin Carasso, who really loved what you do because he's like that. And he loves that kind of energy. And both of you created something wonderful that night, you know?
Talent respects talent. That's what it comes down to. Talent definitely respects talent.
Exactly. There you go. Talent respects talent.
Fun.
It's always been that. It's always been that way. And like I said, actually in France there was a guy named Patrick Mattei who had a label called New Rose.
Yeah.
And he used to come over to Boston, and he loved the Boston scene. He really did. And he signed us. And earlier on, he signed Willie Loco Alexander. He signed the Real Kids. I mean, he just was a big, big Boston music fan. He would always come over and see who he could bring over to France. And we had a scene that not only rivaled New York, but I thought was better.
I agree.
And so I agree with you. In some respects, it was even far ahead of New York because of the diversity of music that was being played out of Boston and that was coming through Boston that we could get from all over the world. And the channel would play any of the people that were from, like, who's going to play Los Lobos in town but the channel? That kind of thing. It's a big enough place. It was wonderful for everybody to work with them. They were excellent, and I could go on for many of those acts. And many of the acts that were even local acts that would be just wonderful to work with the Stompers, with Fools, all those acts, which is
all those guys,
still going well.
And it's funny with this channel. The first time I met Los Lobos was I did a show at the University of New Hampshire, and it was with Peter and those guys.
Yeah.
And I did my usual jump off the stage and flying in the air and stuff. They came over and said, "You're great, man. You're wonderful. What are you doing tonight?" And I go, "Well, I don't know. Nothing really." He says, "Listen, we're playing the channel tonight. Why don't you come down and jam with us?" So I go down to the channel, and they say, "We just met a new friend of ours, new friend. You might know him, Barrence."
Yeah.
I love it. Anyway, before we go, because we're timing, what are you up to now? What's the future here? Where are you going? Are you going back to Europe soon, or what? You need to get well.
Yeah, I'll be headed back to Europe in April. I'm actually doing one more Savage show. We're playing on the cruise. It's the Little Stephen Underground Radio cruise. We're doing that.
Yeah.
We're doing that the beginning of April, and that's the last Savage show that we'll ever do.
Wow.
So that, and also in March I'm playing with John Butcher. He's invited me to come up to sing some songs with him on a program.
Very cool.
So I'm going to be busy doing a lot of stuff, especially in New England. So
well, you should record.
Listen.
You should record that last show of the Savages. You really should record it.
I think that it will happen. I think we'll make that happen.
You definitely need to get somebody like Sam Copper or somebody from GBH. That's what we used to have at the channel. They got the bus and everything. You're just someone to record it completely well, because that's history. And that's it.
You're right.
The history being, it's not just a matter of putting it on cassette like with me. I always did. But it's a matter of getting it so that you can then put it out, whatever label, whatever you want to do, and it's your history. And then you find something from the original days of the 80s when you started doing it. There's some recording there that's good. And you put them both together as a box set of Barrence, Whitfield, and the Savages history. That kind of thing.
There you go.
And,
there you go.
And Sean would love that. I know he'd love that.
I know.
I'd love that too.
Well, I'm actually thinking of having someone do a kind of like a anecdote book, write a book of all my exploits and and through the years, and I'm calling it Notes from a Savage.
I love it.
If Carter was around, I don't know if he's real busy, but he's helped me do my book in Life on the Road book that was on Billboard, and he helped me redo that because his knowledge of that time period in the bands and the history is phenomenal, and the people and stuff, and that would be a cool on that level. But whomever does it, it's got to be done. You're right about that. I like that, Sean. You're right. All right.
I'm definitely. Well, listen. Thanks, you guys, for this opportunity. I had so much fun talking with you guys about, this history. And Dinky, I want to tell you, thank you for doing what you did for me all through the years there, man.
You're welcome, Sean.
And to all the bands.
Yeah, all the bands that played, all the bands that were there with you, open for, or you played the open for you and stuff like that, and then all the bands that you went to see. And thank you.
Right.
And this is Sean McNally and Barrence Whitfield. You got to go see Barrence before he retires. Definitely will retire at some point. Probably in Europe.
You better hurry up because I'll be joining you soon.
Okay.
I'm here to say before you close down, Dick. I'm here to say, actually, two quick things. Yeah, Barrence is going to be guesting with John Butcher Axis. Actually, this probably will be posted before the date, so it's actually on Saturday, March 14th. So if you're in the area down by the Plymouth South Shore where Dinky actually lives, the Spire. We're playing the beautiful Spire on Saturday the 14th. John Butcher Axis, very special guest. Barrence Whitfield joining us.
I'm coming down to say hello. I probably can't stay.
We may not be in the crowd anymore on stage, but Barrence's voice is still aces. I definitely recommend anybody out there go see Barrence anytime he plays anywhere near you. You will not be disappointed.
Definitely, and especially with John playing. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a nice one. That. Oh, I'll come down to see you in the afternoon, Barrence. I don't know I don't know if I can. I've not been out or anything for you because I'm on dialysis 4 days a week. So I don't really go out at night. I'm in bed at 7 o'clock texting Sean and stuff. And I got
come by for sound check, Dinky. Hang out for a little bit. Say hi to everybody.
Yeah, come down for sound check and hang out, and then run back to the machine.
Yeah, that's that's what we'll do. They'll take care of you because Sean's been down there many times and he really likes the place because it's what it is. It's inviting and good, and everybody will look after you. All right. Well, I want to say thank you to Barrence and thank you to Sean. And this is 2 Pints in a Corner, as that's what we call it, Barrence. 2 Pints in a Corner, closing out.